Have you ever had one of those experiences out on the range where you got mad and you had to remind yourself that it was probably you and not the piece of gear that you were currently working with out there that was the problem? This fucking holster sucks. It's just me, it's not the holster. Well, if you've ever had that problem, definitely let me know what it was in the comments, because I recently experienced that when I had to collect myself and pull back and remember, anytime you're training with a new holster, you need to give that thing some time, give it some love, and work slow to speed. And talking about that holster, this is the new Alien Gear Rapid Force Duty holster. There's a bunch of different reasons I wanted to get into this one and talk about it today. I went out and I bought this holster based on seeing some other people give it a shot out there. And I really wanted to see, is this thing gonna be as fast as what I am currently running? Now, I currently, and for the past several years, have run a holster like this, the Safariland ALS, where it's just the thumb brake without the hood. Generally, I'm running an optics ready holster now, but I wanted to see if I could be as fast with a level 3 from another company as I am with this ALS thumb brake only holster. And I know with the Safariland level 3 stuff, the SLS ALS, I'm definitely not nearly as fast as I am with this one because of all that additional stuff on there. All right, so why this holster? Why the Rapid Force Duty holster from Alien Gear? Like I said, I went out and bought this with my own money, but I wanted to see if I could be as fast and marry the two biggest things when it comes to retention as retention and speed. Can I be as fast with this as something else that I'm pretty quick with, but have a higher level of retention? Because I've worn a gun for most of my adult life for a living, and I've been in more than one fight where somebody has tried to pull that gun from my holster, or where it could have come out of the holster if it was not a good retention holster. So because of that, I've been looking into more and more stuff recently because there are a lot more companies offering holsters. So what is this one going to give us, the Rapid Force Duty holster? Obviously, you're going to see that this one is a polymer holster, much like many other things out there. And it's going to give us a couple of different things. One, we're going to see, obviously, we have a hood locking mechanism across the top, and that's going to be combined with the thumb brake or pushback thumb release system, much like a Safariland ALS. Now, you can get this in level 2, or you can get this in level 3, which has the hood and the thumb brake. The level 2 is thumb brake only. We also have a passive retention adjustment, which is kind of signified by this arrow and this line marking right here. And that's going to give us the ability to provide a little bit more tension on the pistol in there if both of those locking mechanisms have been disengaged. Now, they call this their gross motor response system. It's basically just a gross motor response. You're pushing down with your thumb, pulling back with it, much like sweeping the safety on like a 1911 or something. So it's a pretty intuitive and pretty natural way to go about pulling a gun out of a holster. Some of the other features you're going to get out of this holster is going to have an open bottom there. So should you be rolling around, or should it be muddy or snowy or wet or raining, you're going to have a drain ability here. Anything that gets up in there as far as small amounts of gravel or dirt, it's going to come out of the bottom of that holster. When it comes to the belt attachment mechanisms, you're going to have several different designs out there. I chose a low-rise belt mount. They have others. You can also get a quick release on here. But this holster, the way it mounts to the belt ride system, you're going to get the ability to cant this either neutral, positive, or negative. So that's forward, backwards, or completely straight up and down, which is where pretty much I live, straight up and down. And then if you are running optics, you're going to have that optic hood on there, and it's going to have a little bit of a rubberized cover over it where it's going to meet your kind of the highest part of that optic housing. So you're going to have a little bit less snag, a little bit less drag on there, and it's not going to scar or scratch up your optics should you be concerned about that. So that's definitely a nice little touch that they went in to think about. Now, if you're anything like me, you probably had a couple of questions about this. How and does it work, and is it going to be fast? So if you're interested in any of this stuff you see here, I'll leave some links for you down at the build list. You can check all that stuff out. Talking about how this thing works. So like I said, you're going to have a larger pad or a press button that you're going to push directly down with your thumb, and you're going to sweep straight back when it comes to the thumb brake on the level 3. On the level 2, it's just going to be the thumb brake with no hood. You're also going to have a couple of additional parts where you can have a little bit more tailored to your hand size, where you can have a little bit of a larger pad and a little bit of a larger brake on that pushback. And those are going to come in there, and it's just going to be based on how big your hands are. I'm running what it came with, which I think is the medium. Now, what actually is keeping your pistol in there besides the hood and the passive retention is a locking mechanism that contacts the open area of the breech right across the hood of your pistol where the barrel is. And it looks like there's 3 points of contact in there, 2 that are deep into the breech and 1 that just kind of rides across the top of it. And that's activated solely by that thumb brake, not pressing down, but the pulling back portion of your thumb activation. So that's really where all of your active retention is coming from on a level 2. and it's 1/2 of it on this version of the Level 3. Well, now that you know the specs on this thing, how this thing actually works, the options are available, how does this thing perform on the range? A couple ways you're gonna wanna work on a new holster. So for me, I started to go out there and just do my thing, and I was having problems. Then I remembered, oh, it's a new holster, I probably should spend some time getting to know it and loosening her up a little bit. So I went and just started to do some nice, slow, really progressively speeded up draws. I'd work through a few of those until I felt comfortable. Then I started to put myself on a shot timer. Then I started to put myself on a shot timer with a 1 second par time. That means you get timer goes off, you draw, and you pull the trigger once before that 1 second. And then I went into the live fire. So it was kind of a progressive thing once I pulled my head on my 4th point of contact, also known as your rear end, and got into the flow of things out there. One of the craziest things that I did notice right away is I think the fastest draw time I got was actually a 0.88, and I will roll that up here. Completely unrepeatable for me. That was just going balls to the wall, got lucky, managed to hit the target on the fastest draw I could get out of the day. What I will say is for a level 3 retention holster, I was able to get probably 7 or 8 out of 10 times sub 1 second draw in first round on target. Now I know a lot of you guys out there are super fast, but from a level 3 retention holster and me, that's probably the best I've ever been. And most of those were between like 0.93 and about 0.97 if I'm recalling. And I'm gonna roll some of that footage in here just really quickly so you guys can actually hear me calling the times as I'm doing this, and you'll hear the beeps. 0.97 body. 0.96, 0.95. And I know some of you guys out there are way faster than me, but like I said, for a level 3 retention holster, having tried level 3 stuff from Safariland and other companies out there before, that's the fastest I've ever been able to be consistent. Now, there are other holsters I've gotten sub-second with that were level 3, but I was never able to do it consistently like that. And when I'm looking for something that I need to draw and draw fast sub-second, should I be in a gunfight or something, I want to have the ability to do that time and time again consistently, at least 7, 8, 9, or 10 out of 10 times. Ultimately, we want 10 out of 10, but things are gonna happen out there in life, right? So that's a huge positive for this thing. I have to say it was very natural and very intuitive once I spent some time actually using it. And all of that video was filmed within like the first 30 minutes of me actually using the holster. So being that I've carried an ALS and something like it, that might be a little bit faster than some of you out there would pick it up, but still, inside of 30 minutes doing sub-second draws that many times just consistently and consistently goes to kind of speak for that gross motor response system. And like I said, I don't have anything to do with Alien Gear. I bought this with my own money, and I've actually not been a fan of most Alien Gear holsters that they've put out because I just didn't like the design. I didn't think they were that great of quality. So I'm going to continue to run this thing and see where it fits. So knowing all that stuff now, let's talk about the cost of this thing because duty holsters are expensive. Now this one is going to range anywhere from like 115 to like 180 bucks. And I think it's a little bit more if you start getting the quick release system. I think it's almost 200. So a lot of it's going to depend on what you get with it. That one, as you saw there with the drop leg and with the level 3, the light and the hood over the optic was like 180 bucks shipped or something like that. You're not really going to spend any more than any other level 3 holster that's good in quality, and you're not really going to save any money by going with this one. One of the cool things about this one is, though, it's made in the United States, whereas a lot of those others are made in Mexico or somewhere else. Now, time's going to tell how long this holster is going to last and if we're going to have any issues on it. I've had some other holster brands from, say, Safariland that have lasted 5, 6, 7, 8 years before I had to really start replacing the ALS system or just get a whole new holster at that point. So I'd like to see if this one is going to get there as far as people getting thousands and thousands of rounds and draws through it. And that's pretty much what I'm going to do because I'm going to start wearing this every time I carry one of my Glocks to the range because that's what that specific one is set up for. But for those of you out there starting out, whether it's law enforcement, security, or doing anything else that's cool out there in the world where you need a retention holster, especially for outside the waistband or tactical belt style carry. I definitely think this is one to look into because you're not going to spend any more money. But at least for me, I was getting an extremely fast, consistent draw out of a level 3, which is not the norm. And obviously we got to find that ability to marry our performance and speed with our security, especially if we are wearing overt outside the belt, law enforcement, security, any of that kind of work. So again, I will leave the links for that thing down below or at the build list. You can check that out. It'll be the first link in the description and the first link in the comments. Make it super easy for you guys to find. You guys get out there on the range, have some fun. Remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. I will see you guys on the next one.